Hi guys, and welcome back to Explore RE, where last lesson we were looking at the story of Moses and his journey back to Egypt to set the Israelites free. We looked at the 9 plagues that have hit Egypt, and we looked at the way that Pharaoh responded to each of them. What's this? News just in. Hi there and welcome back, where you join us at a time of great panic right across Egypt. The God of the Israelites wants his people to be freed from slavery. But Pharaoh keeps saying no. This has had catastrophic effects right across Egypt and is affecting everybody in society. People are starting to ask the question, when will Pharaoh allow them to go? Haven't we suffered enough? What else could happen beyond this? What could be worse than all this? These are questions and more that we will continue to have until the situation is at an end. Back to you in the studio. Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. More on this unsettling news as the story unfolds. For today's lesson, you're going to need a pen, some paper, some pencils, maybe some colouring pencils. You're also going to need access to a computer to answer some questions on Word. Right, without further ado, let's get exploring. As a starter, I'd like you to answer the questions on the worksheet that is attached to the lesson. See how quickly you can remember each of the 9 plagues so far. There's also some questions and a period of reflection at the bottom. Answer those questions and see if you so far have met our learning objectives. The answers for the 9 plagues that we've seen so far are: number 1 is blood in the River Nile. Number 2 was a load of frogs coming out of the Nile. Number 3 was lice. Number 4, the pestilence of flies. Number 5, all the animals get sick and die. Number 6, people were covered in boils. Number 7, there was a storm of massive hailstones. Number 8, there was a swarm of locusts. And number 9, the sky turned dark. How many did you get right out of 9? If it took you more than a few minutes, that's fine. Can I suggest that you go back and look over them again so that you're more comfortable with being able to recall them very quickly? If you did it under 10 seconds or 15 seconds, that's incredible. Really, really well done, and you may give yourself a calm. So even after these 9 plagues, and each one of them being worse than the one before, Pharaoh still would not let go of his pride, and he kept saying no, and he refused to let the Israelites go. Story time! The 10th and final plague, death of the firstborn son. Then the Lord said to Moses, I will send only one more punishment on the king of Egypt and all his people. After that, he will let you leave. In fact, he will drive all of you out of here. I, the Lord, will make the Egyptians respect you and the Israelites. Indeed, the officials and all the people will consider you to be a great man. Then, the most terrible thing of all happened. That night, the eldest son of every family in Egypt died, from the king's son and heir to the son of his lowest slave. But in Goshen the Israelites were safe. That same night the king sent for Moses and Aaron and said, Get out, you and your Israelites, leave my country. Go and worship the Lord as you asked. Take your sheep, goats and cattle and leave. The next day the Egyptians could not wait to get rid of the Israelites. They even gave them gold and silver, jewelry and fine clothes to take with them. The Lord made the Egyptians respect the people and give them what they asked for. In this way, the Israelites carried away the wealth of the Egyptians. But as soon as the Israelites had left Egypt, the king changed his mind, and he tried to stop them. He called out the army. The soldiers leapt into their swift, light chariots and raced after the Israelites. By the time they reached the lakes and the marshes near the border, the Egyptian army was close behind. There was water in front of them and soldiers behind. The Israelite people were terrified. For the remainder of our lesson, I'd like you to spend a really good amount of time now thinking about how this last plague is going to affect Egypt. Whilst they didn't know it was going to happen beforehand, the Israelites did, and they managed to prepare, but the Egyptians were caught unaware. What are the Egyptians going to do about it now? What are they going to do without these slaves? Is this going to change the entirety of society? You need to decide now. I'd like you to continue with our theme of making news reports, imagining that you are Pharaoh, and now you need to give a report to the country of the final and terrible plague that has struck Egypt. What is your new decision? How is it going to affect everybody? And what do we need to do? I'd like you to sum up all of these things in a conference to the entirety of Egypt. I'd like this to be done in video format, but if you can't do that, feel free to type it out as best you can. Really look forward to seeing some of these, and I hope they can be full of detail and emotion. Think about how Pharaoh would be feeling after the death of his son. If you'd like to see an example of how this might look, you can go onto YouTube, where you can find countless numbers of videos of the Prime Minister or even the President of America giving a conference to news reporters. Thank you so much for taking part in today's lesson. If you'd like to find out more about the story of Moses, then I'd like you to hit the like and subscribe button. And don't forget to press the bell as well to be informed of when I put up new videos. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Shalom. Thanks guys.